Your hope
Mhm.
is our goal tonight to be laser focused. Yes. Yeah. I gotta go home. God.
Are we recording and ready to start? Guess we better wait 1 minute.
Where's that?
Do we have our timer? Thanks. Should be up there. Okay. We are going to bring our meeting to order here tonight. This is the Hyde Park City Council on October 8th, 2025. And we'd like to excuse Mayor Cox, who is out of town and unable to be here. So he's asked that I conduct this meeting. And so we welcome those that are here with us in person, and looks like we have a few people online with us. So welcome. We will begin by asking Councilman Allred to give us a thought or a prayer and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our kind Father in heaven, we're so very grateful for the many blessings that we have, especially to live in this valley and especially Hyde Park. We're thankful for the people that live within this city, for their greatness, for their kindness. And Father, we feel the importance and weight of our job to be able to represent them and do it in a way that would bless our city the most. And we pray for inspiration and guidance this night and wisdom that we can be able to make wise decisions and that we can be able to have forethought for years to come, that how our decisions today might affect the future. We pray for the people in our city also, that they may be blessed, especially those that are going through difficult times, that they might have thy spirit to be with them. And please be with us now, we pray, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next item of business is to accept the minutes from our September 24th meeting. And so do we have any additions or changes or discussions on that? Okay. Ready's good. Okay, I'll take a motion on that.
I'll motion that we approve the minutes from September 24th, 2025 as written.
Okay. We have a first from Tiffany and a first from Kirk. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that passes. We now next would like to approve our agenda for this evening. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Okay. I would take a motion on the agenda then.
I move that we accept we approve the agenda as written here for this evening.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first by Dave and a second by Stephanie. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay. Moving on, moving into our citizen input, where we ask people that would like to present something to the council that is not on the agenda, and if they would keep that to 3 minutes, and Tiffany, I think, has got our clock run. So do we have anyone online or in person that would like to do that? Okay,
Are we doing three?
so just state your name and your address and
Sure.
Okay, my name is Colleen Jashinsky and I live at 494 North 200 West. I just want to start out to begin with by saying that I have been involved with working with water for a lot of years. And I currently am working with an engineering firm that deals with irrigation water and also stormwater. And so I really do understand the importance of having drainage areas to help stormwaters, the stormwater issues in the communities that we have. My home, I'm the one that actually gave you the drawings that you have up there, sits on 0.5 acres. And as you can see on the drawing that I happen to have a stormwater detention pond on my property,
Okay.
which takes up a very significant amount of my property. It, in my opinion, is very, I don't want to say really dangerous, but it's not very safe. And so I wanted to improve the area. So I started out last year coming to the city, and every time I came to the city to ask for guidance and if I needed permits, I was always talking to somebody different. But I was always told that I didn't need permits to do what I planned on doing. I kind of gave them drawings and was showing them so that they knew, it wasn't just concrete work that I needed to do, that I had planned on filling that detention pond in. The survey shows that the original open pond that was there, and I should say open, it was open, but it was deep and it had some fairly steep sides. So if somebody was to fall in, and since I broke my ankle, I've been having lots of problems myself with trying to even keep that area up. But it would hold approximately 3,000 to 4,000 square feet of water if the need ever arises. Page 3 of those drawings that I gave you shows where all the stormwater is going to be, where it's going to be relocated from. It's that Grant Haven subdivision is developed, so there's not any more possibility of any more water going into that area other than what is shown on that route there, unless the city decides that they're going to tear up all their infrastructure and reroute a bunch of water from somewhere else to go in there. My plans, my drawings that I had engineered is increasing that capacity from 3,000 to 11,000 square feet. It allows, and I know that there's other developments that are being developed around me, but they will not be putting any stormwater into my area. They will be putting it elsewhere. And in fact, I actually have a stormwater detention pond just to the north of my property that will be dealing with that.
okay, so what kind of action are you requesting from us?
Well, Brett told me that I needed to come to you and see if you couldn't help approve it. He said he couldn't approve it. And I talked to Susan and she said she was going to recommend that it stay open because the city wasn't named as the person for the easement. And I told her, I says, well, it's the easement, it's you guys' easement for your stormwater. You guys have got to have some say in this. She says, well, we can't approve it or I can't deny it, but I'm going to advise that you leave it open. And I knew that I couldn't leave it open. I needed to fence my yard. I needed to make it a safer place, not only for me, but for other, for the rest of the community. And the last that I talked to Brett, like I said, Brett has said that I should come to this meeting and if not, get on the agenda.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this request under advisement. I do live just down the street, so I'll want to come and just walk by and site inspect this, just to take a look at it, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there. But
Okay, I
we-
appreciate your consideration on it. Thank you.
thank you for coming in. All right, do we have anyone else that would like to,
Hank Breger, 158 East Center Street. I just wanted to come on behalf of the people that sent me here the first time and thank the city, the mayor, the police chief, which neither one of them are here, for the input that they put on the electric bikes in the city letter. We really appreciate that. That's not just me, that's,
you've heard a lot of discussion of in the
Yeah,
neighbors, yeah.
I've
okay.
had a number of people talk to me about it, so I appreciate what they did. I'm just wanted to thank everybody, but
Okay,
Do you
So-
feel like it's helped? Like that?
you what?
Do you feel like it has helped the situation?
I haven't seen them go up the street since we had the discussion. I don't know whether it got too cold for them. I don't know if they're still riding them to high school. If they are, they're going down the other way. They're not going down this street.
yeah.
So I haven't seen them. I don't know if
Okay,
it's too cold
we'll,
for them or what, but
Interesting.
We'll make sure we pass that along, Danya and Marcus.
We talked about that last night in the police commission meeting,
Oh, did you?
and that's a problem all over
The state, yeah.
the state and especially Cache Valley. And so I'm hoping they can come up with something that will help all of our areas around us.
Okay,
But we as neighbors up there, we posted a sign on the canal because we started having them. And it's helped. I haven't seen too many lately either, so
yeah,
I
good.
don't know.
All right. We appreciate that feedback as well. Okay, is there anyone else? Is anyone online that's got their hand up? Okay. All right, we will move out of citizen input and we'll move on to our council business. And do we have a staff report of any type?
Yes, I apologize to the city council. I only finished the staff report about an hour before this meeting, so you probably haven't read it yet. I do recommend you read it. It is quite lengthy. We just keep having more and more things happening in the city, surprisingly. I wanted to point out a few items that are of particular interest to the city staff that we would like some input from the city council on, or just a general notification. First of all, one project that the city staff would like to start with the council and the planning commission is a discussion about development standards, particularly in the core part of town. We've had a lot of people coming in wanting to divide their property and build additional homes or ADUs or things. And in our ordinance right now, it's required that everybody do a certain level of improvements. However, it doesn't make sense to us for the core part of town to be subject to those rules, where there's a different stormwater format, a different historic infrastructure pattern down there. And so the staff would like to have a discussion with the city council and planning commission about that. So please get back to me. In the report specifically, I tossed out the idea of having some kind of subcommittee or having a work session to talk about it. So please think about that and get back to me with your thoughts.
Yeah, are you talking about even the frontage requirement? Or is that on the
Yeah,
table?
like right now, everybody has to do curb, gutter, sidewalk, extend the roadway, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of your standard improvements for the roadway. In the core part of town, we have the stormwater drainage that has the grassy swales, and we don't really want high back curb. And yet in the ordinance, everybody has to do it. And so we have
Right.
this impasse where as city staff, we have to tell people, no, you're doing all of this because that's the rules. But then we're also signing up for a problem because we're introducing infrastructure in a space that wasn't designed for that type of infrastructure.
Right,
I
okay.
think a work session would be helpful so we could brainstorm how to.
Yeah. So let me know how you would like to address that. If it needs to be an item of discussion at a council meeting or a work session, it's just something that the city staff would like to have some time to discuss with you. Next, in the road section, we have had a lot of requests for different types of signage. I put a list of all the requests that I have that aren't necessarily emergency things, but they're things that we've had a lot of requests for. And the staff just want some guidance from the city council on which one you would like us to make a priority as we're ordering signs over the winter and planning to do some installs in the spring. The next item that I'd like to bring to council's attention in the stormwater section, there was a project that was brought to the city last year. The Cache Highland Water Association, or the Upper Canal, they have this fun little, I think they call it the Oxbow in the canal where it's right next to Mr. Reed Elder's property, kind of near 7th East. The canal company, in partnership with the city and Reed Elder, we're planning a project to straighten out the canal and build some stormwater retention areas or infrastructure. That project got slowed down due to some funding concerns from the canal company, but it's back on now. They got some funding figured out. And so I just have a request that there's an agreement that we have that needs a review by the city council. There's going to be a funding request that we have to review probably a budget amendment to our city budget. It just needs some review by the city council. It needs to be pretty timely because the developer wants to get going, the canal company wants to get going. The water will be let out of the canals, I think, this weekend. So there's some time issues there. So I would just like 1 or 2 members of the city council to perhaps commit to coming in and meeting with myself and the mayor next week when he's back to really dig into this and figure out how the city is going to approach this.
I'd be happy to do that. A year ago, I was trying to, when this first came up, I was trying to learn stuff and sat down with Steve Wood and spent quite a while. And so I'm happy to do it and I've got the time, so I can.
And I'm happy to come too if you want more than one, but if just one, it's fine too.
Okay, well, we can't have more than 2 because then we
Yeah.
have to call a meeting. So I was hoping for at least one.
But I'm happy.
No, I think that's fine. I can be a backup.
Okay, and of course, the whole agreement, we're gonna have to probably bring back to the city council for approval anyway. And so we may have to talk with the mayor about, if the timelines are too pressing, maybe there has to be a city council meeting outside of the regular hours. I'm not sure yet. I need to speak with the mayor, and as you all know, he's out of town right now. So
Could that be done in conjunction with maybe a work session on the court, if we,
as long as we follow the noticing rules of the
Right.
state code, you can have a public meeting
yeah,
whenever you
so
want.
that may be a way to, if we can do a work session next week versus waiting, because my thought would be, well, let's do it maybe in 2 weeks prior to this meeting, when everybody show up a little early, but if we need to do it sooner than that, then.
So the draft agreement is in box. I recommend you all go through it and read it. It spells out very clearly who's responsible for what. There are some questions about measurements and compensation for things that we're still ironing out amongst ourselves. We had a meeting today that was very productive. So there will be a few minor edits most likely to that agreement, but there is a draft in there for you to review and start working on. The only other things I want to bring up very quickly, just question for Councilmember Atkinson. Did you ever hear back from that company that was looking to do murals in the parks?
They didn't get me pricing, but I'm in contact with them.
Okay, just curious if that was still something you wanted us to chase down, or
Well,
we don't necessarily need to take time right now.
Yeah.
I'm just,
getting a feel from council about whether to move forward and how, anyways, there was some feedback. Maybe they wanted some things adjusted.
okay, well,
So-
keep me in the loop. And then finally, just another plug for our first ever senior, we're calling it a senior activity, but really it's a group called The Front Porch. It's a new thing that our Healthy Hyde Park Coalition is putting together. Our first ever activity for people, seniors, is going to be November 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. here. There's going to be a cooking demo and just some time to socialize and get to know your neighbors. So just for the general community, come on out to our event on November 6th. And then there's lots of other stuff in there for you to talk about. And Danya has one more thing.
Okay.
The election, the Cache County election group has asked us this year if we would please all canvass the elections on the same night. And so they've asked if on Tuesday, November 18th, if we would hold a special meeting. I mean, it'd only take 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes to do this. But to hold a special meeting, we can do it earlier. We can do it at whatever time you guys would like. The mayor will be out of town that night, but we don't need him to canvass the elections. So if you guys are available, or at least 3 of you are available that evening to do that, that would be great. I'll definitely send out an agenda and so forth. But Tuesday, November 18th, what time would you guys like?
Whatever works for
I-
you.
5:30 is great for us.
I would be
Unfortunately.
available, and that's, I think, let's do it at the end of your
Can you do that, Gerald,
workday.
that early?
I'll have to check my calendar, but I will try to be here.
All right, thank you. That's
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our next item is to consider ordinance 2025 21 RZ, an ordinance approving a zoning map amendment for a portion of property located at approximately 520 South, 100 West in Hyde Park, inside parcel 4, 305, and 12, and a portion of a property located approximately 2021 North, 700 East in Hyde Park. And that's inside parcel numbers, I guess, 04005-0024, amending approximately 0.70 acres from I guess, a ag zone to an R2 zone to accommodate the Berry Hollow Ridge subdivision plat. So if I understand this correctly, we're looking at two different parcels of rezoning kind of in this amendment. Is that right?
I'm pulling up an exhibit here to
Okay.
hopefully make this really easy to understand. So this is, well, the area we were just talking about, 700 East, the Oxbow and the Canal, Mr. Reed Elder's property, and he's the applicant here. So there was a subdivision called the Berry Hollow Ridge subdivision. The city council approved it with conditions a while ago. We're finishing up those conditions. Mr. Elder should be starting work very soon. One hiccup that was found in the code is we're not supposed to make a subdivision that has different zones inside of it. And so this is really just a regulatory step to make sure that subdivision is compliant with the codes. What's being proposed is this triangle here that's currently in the ag zone, and this portion of Mr. Elder's property that's currently in the ag zone be rezoned to R2. Now, this doesn't give him any additional building lots, no new houses created. This was all land that was already in the subdivision and approved in the subdivision. We're just changing the color on the map so that we're compliant with the ordinances. The Planning Commission recommended approval unanimously. The city staff recommends approval of this as well, just to help clean up the land use application.
Okay. And there's another parcel, right?
Yeah, so
Let's just,
so the
do we have any
parcel-
questions on this one?
No, so
Okay.
there are two parcels here. So it's approximately half of Mr. Elder's lot as it currently stands. They're subdividing off this back half to create a new building lot. And then the other parcel is this triangle piece of this large one. So
Oh, okay.
That's why there's two.
that's why there's two parcels.
So we have
He said-
an address of 520 South, 100 West in the. So that just doesn't seem right. Might
That
seem
might be
more
wrong.
like,
Yeah, because the 221 North 700 East is the correct address. 520 South 100, that is not correct.
yeah, okay, that's why I was thinking there was one down here and one up there and we're combining them, so.
Yeah, no, I don't know where that address came from.
Okay,
Mm,
okay.
yeah, that might just be a typo. Okay, we'll modify that address so it's the same one. That
Okay, but these are the two
Parcel.
parcels.
these are the two parcels, and the thing that we're doing here is rezoning by legal description. And so the legal descriptions are correct and they do match these two parcels.
Okay, yeah,
Which
until the
is the most
parcel
important
number,
piece.
the parcel number on the one is wrong too, I think. Okay, all right. You guys will take.
We're
care of
fixing
that.
it.
Okay.
Yes, the legal descriptions are correct, and that's the most important part of the
Okay.
ordinance is the legal descriptions. We checked and triple checked those.
Okay. All right, is there any questions? It looks like we have Reed here if we have some questions for him. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. Then if there's no questions, I will open up to a motion.
Sure, I'll move that we approve ordinance 2025-21. Rezone ordinance approving a zoning map amendment as amended by you right now with the correct address, parcel numbers. And the remainder amending approximately 70.70 acres from agricultural to R2 zone to accommodate Berry Hollow Ridge subdivision plat.
Okay,
I'll
we have a
second.
first, we have a
I'll second.
second. Will you restate all that he said on? No. Okay, all right, so yeah, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries. Moving on to our next item is to consider ordinance 2025-22, an ordinance approving revisions to section 12 and 13 of the Land Use and Development Code and subdivision ordinance to change DRC's responsibilities and amend the subdivision process. So do you want to give us a little rundown on that?
I'll give the rundown, and there's a lot of changes being proposed, but they all center around a few things. Like you said, we're updating the DRC process. Historically in Hyde Park, the Development Review Committee, or DRC, was a body that was kind of like the city planner. People could come to the DRC, present ideas and site plans and concept plans, get feedback from the city, and it was a way to kind of filter applications and make sure they were ready to actually submit. Now that the city has more staff people, especially city planner, zoning administrator, the DRC's role has shifted to more of just a reviewing body. And to accomplish that in a more efficient way, we would like to change that from being an open and public meeting to just a staff time review. It can be done much faster, and it can be done much more detailed when we are free to get to these projects reviews when we can get to them, instead of trying to force it all into
That meeting time.
that meeting. And, the week before, where we get the packet and we're panicking, trying to get everything together for
And
that
having to
meeting.
wait a whole nother month for the next one in case there's an issue or
Right.
something.
And that's very inconvenient for the applicant.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Elder's a great example with this rezone. It's a relatively small step. It's not really controversial. It was a cleanup item. But because of the way our processes are written, you had to wait and wait and wait for these DRC meetings when we could have just reviewed it and had them on a planning commission agenda probably in a week. And so it's situations like that that really spurred us to make the change to the DRC. You just feel like it can operate much more efficiently and be much better for the applicants if we make that
So
change.
are you saying this helps the customer, plus it also helps the city and expedites things? That's how I'm.
Yes, very much. It helps both parties out tremendously. The other changes that are being proposed here revolve around updating some of our application processes. We're changing some of the ways that we process applications. We don't want to take people's money until we know that their application is ready to be brought in. We've had several applications get denied and we have to issue refunds. And so we just want to change it so that the city will review the application, make sure it's complete. Then we'll take your money and start you into the official review process. Again, it's just something that seems much more fair for the applicant. The other change we've made is some of the requirements for the land use applications. We're finding that some of our applications, we lacked information and we had to go back and ask for stuff like owner's consent forms or updated surveys or parcel or legal descriptions. So we're just going to require a lot of those things up front. And then finally, the last portion of changes revolve around, that might be all of them actually. That's pretty much it. It's the application process, the way we collect the fees, and the DRC format. And then part of the DRC format is we're changing some stuff on our land use tables. It can get confusing in the exhibits. The reason we're modifying lots of stuff in chapter 12 and chapter 13 is chapter 13 is all about subdivisions. So people dividing their property into smaller, more buildable properties. But a lot of our processes that are not subdivisions still have to go through the same steps. And those are all housed in chapter 12. And so there's a lot of similar edits between chapter 12 and 13. We just had to change them in both places. And the land use tables is one of them. So specifically, there's a subdivisions land use table, which has a bunch of specific rules that we have to follow just for subdivisions. And then we have the other table, which designates the land use authority for any other types of land use issues, mostly around site plans and things like that.
Okay. And you're taking the simple parcel division and lot split out of this because it'll be handled in one of those.
Yes. Oh, that's a great one to bring up. So that change is pretty important. Our new city planner came from Grand County, and she said that down there, this was a huge problem. People would go in and divide their lots and then come into the city and basically ask forgiveness rather than permission, and it led to all sorts of legal problems. And so with this being worded the way it is, she was nervous about that happening to us. And so part of modifying our subdivision process, we felt like we could remove this from the code and people could just follow the subdivision process.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any questions or discussion we want on this item?
Planning Commission that I recall was okay with all of this and approved unanimously. I think we saw that already in the minutes and the notes, but
The Planning Commission picked this apart, I think 4 meetings in a row. We discussed this pretty intensely with them. So by the time we got it through the Planning Commission and the city attorney, they were all pretty happy with it.
Appreciate all the efforts to try and streamline both
Yes.
for our personnel and for customers. Great job. Well, I'll make a motion that we pass land use code titles 12 and 13.
Okay,
Amendment.
we have a motion from Stephanie to approve ordinance 2025-22 and a second by Kurt. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Okay.
Will this work in our favor with our housing plan to the state at all? This, is it something we can show that we did to help streamline the, like, will they give us credit for that?
Not right now, but it could be.
Okay.
Just like we've talked about before, the city's moderate income housing plan revolves around the strategies that we have chosen. There are strategies available that we could use this to show that we're doing more, but we haven't chosen those strategies. All of our strategies revolve around granting rezones to facilitate moderate income housing. So if one of the things that we are going to do, though, side note, is we are going to reach out to the Department of Workforce Services as soon as we get our compliance or non-compliance letter, and that's all settled, and we're good with moderate income housing for the year. We are going to reach back out to them to see what it would take for us to modify our moderate income housing plan, because we think that we can change some of our strategies and be a little bit more effective and not just be granting rezones all the time.
Yeah, I just think since that plan has had to be in place, we've seen a lot of growth and we've had a lot of change happening within the city that I feel like we could get credit for. But like you said, we have to categorize those ourselves, so.
And another side note, historically, when the moderate income housing was started, you just got credit for stuff you did after you adopted the plan. But I think this most recent legislative session, they have some options now that let you go back and claim credit for things you've already done, or maybe that's a bill that they're tossing around right now. I'm not sure, but it's coming if it's not already in the code.
Okay.
Marcus, I was just going to ask if the staff is putting together any kind of a communication, a fact sheet or something to send out to developers and others that we work with the changes to the DRC and the code. And I mean, they're not sitting at home tonight, watching this, I suspect. They've got other things going on and, so forth and so on, but some way to communicate to everyone that's somewhere in the process or that we typically work with.
We can, yeah. I know that a lot of the developers that we've been working with, we've told them that this is something we're trying to get approved by the city council. And so it's just a matter of following up and saying, hey, it's been approved. And so now instead of waiting till November for DRC, we're going to try to schedule one this week. I already know that everybody's pretty busy this week, but if the city council approved the ordinance tonight, we were going to try to set up a DRC informal meeting next week to go through a bunch of plans that are waiting for November. So,
Okay. So you're kind of working on it and we'll continue to.
yep. And the other
working on it.
thing that we're doing is, well, Mikhail is putting together what we're going to call the tip sheet for anybody who wants to make a land use application to the city. It's about 2 pages long right now. And it just outlines the process
Okay.
of all the steps that you would need to take to get your site plan or your subdivision or whatever.
Great.
So we're gonna start handing that out to everybody who applies to.
Okay.
It's like going the extra mile.
Mhm.
Go Hyde Park City. Staff, Hyde Park City staff.
Okay, does anyone have anything to report to this body or the public?
I'll remind everybody that we have the Spook Alley, the 28th, the 29th, and 30th. That is the 5th Wednesday, so we don't have to cancel anything.
Okay.
So please bring the grandkids.
It's too scary for my grandkids. They're all little toddlers, man. We gotta go to the pumpkin walk. You go somewhere where it's friendly. My, I went through it last year. I was scared.
We've got some kids that will hold your hand.
Well, they did. Last year they did, or you did. And that was the only way I got through it.
We do have a boo
I was
upstairs.
gonna say,
Okay, maybe I'll,
Yeah,
there you go.
try and find a big kid prize.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Anything else?
Mark Lynn's sign is complete.
Great.
So in speaking with Brett to make our guys fabricated the post for legacy sign, and that took quite a bit of time.
Mhm.
Do we want to do a dedication in the spring and allow them to create similar posts, or I haven't made it out to IPACO, but to get a bid on how much that would cost us and do it sooner? What are your guys' thoughts?
Which sign is this?
It's renaming the Lee Park Pavilion for Mark Lynn,
Oh.
and we're gonna do like a little dedication ceremony, but is it better to wait till spring and let our guys do the post, and so we have a similar look like that we have at Legacy? Or do you want to go ahead and have someone get posts from like IPACO, which might be a little more costly, but could be done sooner, but we're already in the
And,
bad weather time of year.
and I'm not sure I'm tracking exactly what you mean by the post, but I'm thinking since this is a pavilion rather than a park, that maybe the posts don't need to be the same. In other words, if I
Well,
understand.
they Need to be a metal to hold the type of sign.
To hold that.
So it's gonna have to be fabricated either by IPACO or by our guys. It's just time and time or money.
So
I think at this
is it
point
like a
too.
framework that they build
Yeah.
with the legs?
Yeah, it's like the Legacy Park sign, talking
Yeah.
kind of the same
So it'll
thing.
look like that. It's cut similar,
Okay.
it's smaller, but
I think at this point where it's getting cold, that you would have a better turnout
In the spring. so you okay to wait and let our guys?
I think so.
That
I wish we would have done it 2 months ago, but I know it's too late for that, but
it's gonna,
It'd probably be more festive in the warmer
Done
weather.
anniversary of his death, but
I'm sure
I
we
don't
could.
recall when that was.
it was,
It was summer. Was it end of summer?
yeah.
Or on his birthday.
Tiffany, you were gonna reach out to, or somebody was gonna reach out to his widow and just see what the family felt about this and how public they even wanted
Yeah,
something. And
yeah.
so maybe a conversation, I don't know who on the staff or
Well, I
one
think
of us
we're
is
Still gonna do something public,
right.
how much their family wants to be acknowledged or involved.
But
That's for them
certainly,
to choose,
yeah,
but we're just doing it we appreciate Mark and all he did for our community, and we want the public to know all he did. for our
Right,
community,
yeah.
because he did a lot that was behind the scenes. So
Is it gonna be visible in the wintertime?
I
I would just as soon wait.
wait. I didn't know it took that long to make the
Yeah.
post until I spoke with Brett, and he said there's no way I can have it done. So
Wintertime's a good time for them
to work
do
on
it.
To work on
That's
that
what he
stuff.
said.
Most of the winter time they're spending, if they're not out snow plowing, they're down there working on the different vehicles that we have. So
That's what he said too. He said, for sure I can get it done this winter and we can do it in the spring, or we can go get it done somewhere else.
I'm okay waiting until spring. Maybe they ought to make a half a dozen of those things for all of our parks and future
Well, that's
pavilions.
We have, well, we have like the Hyde Park signs. I mean, we could tell them we need 4 sets or whatever.
Right.
yeah, if we know the size that they're gonna be made, they can get working on
Yeah.
those. But that was the problem, is we weren't sure how big the Markland
Yeah.
sign was gonna end up being.
Yeah.
So I told Brett, just
Yeah.
wait.
Well, maybe that gives us and the staff time over the winter perhaps to work. I mean, we got the Spook Alley going on. We're gonna have Christmas. People are working on all those events, and maybe this is a springtime thing and we can, come up with all the Markland contributions to the city over the years and,
Yeah.
you
let
know,
me-
and make it what it ought to be rather than let's just show up at 4 o'clock and say, here's a new sign and,
That's kind of how I.
yeah, okay.
Trying to think of a date that would be appropriate. I wonder about Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah.
Later, not during the breakfast, but if they do one, but later on and.
Well,
that
Mark
was
was
sort of
always
his
involved in those things, right?
thing. That was
So
kind of his thing.
That's.
that might be a good thing, and we might get people that will
That's
come
a-
out to it
That's a
too.
great idea.
Yeah, just right after the breakfast and
Perhaps
it
that's what
it
we
would
do.
just seem appropriate.
Yeah.
So we can tentatively plan on that unless you guys decide you want to do something different, and we'll just work towards that. We'll plan with his family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other items to come forward? Okay, I will take a motion to dismiss.
Make that motion.
Okay, got a first by
On Stephanie.
Stephanie,
Second.
second by Tiffany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed, say nay. Okay.
Yeah.